But when they become stars, sir, they realize they're recognized wherever they go.
Absolutely with somebody exciting. Look at this man, Robin Williams, the man of the night.
It's like being taken from the bottom of Death Valley to the top of the Empire State Building in 2 seconds. It's totally...
You're the Pope? Yes. You're dressed like Freddie Mercury's stunt double.
It's a little frightening, too. I mean, you know, people, if you're kind of shy, and sometimes I get kind of like
Drugs.
this.
Anything that makes you paranoid and impotent, give me more of that.
Ladies, and well, to be honest, sir, some of them can't take it.
Things to keep doing stuff that keeps exploring different aspects. That's wonderful, too.
Few people have ever made the world laugh like Robin Williams. He didn't simply tell jokes. He exploded into them.
But first I'm gonna do this.
A whirlwind of voices, characters, impressions, energy, chaos, genius.
It's not to look at people. It was, you know, this. I couldn't see anymore. It's because, once again, it's the brain. The brain, once it tastes it, will want to go back up to
The kind of performer who could walk onto a stage and make an entire room forget their problems. For decades, Robin Williams became a source of joy for millions of people.
For him, love is such a delicate thing that and even getting it back again triggers another...
Children grew up watching him. Families welcomed him into their homes. Audiences around the world fell in love with his warmth, his humor, and his remarkable ability to make people feel better.
Come out. You're the Pope? Yes. You're dressed like Freddie Mercury's stunt double.
He was funny, brilliant, unpredictable, larger than life. Yet behind the laughter, behind the energy, behind the smile the world adored, was a man fighting battles few people could see. Because sometimes the people who bring the most happiness into the world are carrying the heaviest burdens themselves.
Frightening, and you're trying to find some way to pull away.
Robin Williams spent a lifetime making sure everyone else felt okay. Through movies, through comedy, through kindness, through laughter. But when the cameras stopped rolling and the audiences went home, who was Robin Williams? Not the performer, not the comedian, not the movie star, the man. Because behind one of the most beloved entertainers in history was someone struggling to find peace inside his own mind.
What happens immediately after the scene you just saw is he starts to confront who you are.
A lifetime of making the world smile. One question still lingers. Who was Robin Williams when nobody was laughing?
The hallucination guards against that. It's basically, it is freeing to create that character.
This is the story of Robin Williams, the man behind the smile. Before he became Robin Williams, before the applause, before the laughter, before he became one of the most recognizable faces on earth.
In nomine Patri et Filio Spirito Sancto, one secular sensation.
He was simply a quiet boy growing up in suburban Chicago. And despite what many people assumed later in life, Robin's childhood wasn't filled with constant laughter. In fact, much of it was marked by loneliness.
Yeah, it was isolating. And then years later after I stopped,
Robin McLaurin Williams was born on July 21st, 1951. His father was a successful executive. His mother was a former model with a sharp wit and strong personality. The family lived comfortably. They had a beautiful home, stability, opportunity, the things many people associate with happiness. Yet Robin often found himself alone.
Mother was funny then. She also had a wonderful sight gag we can't do here where she cuts a rubber band in half and goes...
Yeah, that's delightful.
Yeah, that's...
His father worked long hours. His family life could feel distant. And as an only child for much of his upbringing, Robin spent countless hours entertaining himself, alone in large rooms, alone with his imagination, alone with toy soldiers and elaborate stories only he could see. It was during those quiet moments that something extraordinary began to emerge. Characters, voices, impressions, entire worlds.
Yeah, that's... Oh, Mom, you're gonna do this! Oh, no!
Robin could transform boredom into performance, loneliness into creativity, silence into laughter. Even as a child, he discovered something important. When people laughed, they paid attention. When people laughed, they connected. When people laughed, loneliness seemed to disappear, at least temporarily.
And one measure of a man's work is a number of classic movie quotes he has recorded in the history books. You had, "Say hello to my little friend," a line heard in bedrooms all around the world.
Friends and classmates soon noticed his unusual talent. Robin could make anyone laugh. Teachers, students, strangers. He wasn't simply telling jokes. He was becoming other people, creating characters, performing constantly, almost instinctively. It was as if he had discovered a secret language, a way to connect with people that felt safer than vulnerability, safer than talking about how he felt, safer than admitting he was lonely.
Now, I must ask you, this might be too personal, but
8 inches.
Comedy became a shield, a bridge, a survival tool, and the better he became at making others laugh, the more people wanted that version of him. The funny one, the entertaining one, the energetic one, the version that could light up a room.
Schwarzenegger walks into the room. I'm back. Watch out, Denmark.
Long before fame arrived, Robin was already learning a lesson that would follow him for the rest of his life. People loved the performance, but very few people stopped to ask about the performer.
Mother, come here. I love you. Big kiss for you. Sorry, you're dead.
And as Robin grew older, that distinction would become increasingly important, because soon, the lonely boy who made people laugh would discover he could make entire audiences laugh, then entire countries, then the entire world. But the more successful Robin Williams became, the harder it would become to separate himself from a character everyone loved.
Look over here. I'm going to do another speech, but first, I'm going to tear through a wall and flex my nipples.
By the early 1970s, Robin Williams had found the one place where he truly felt alive, the stage. While other people seemed content simply being themselves, Robin became fascinated by becoming everyone else. Different voices, different personalities, different worlds. The possibilities felt endless. And for the first time in his life, the lonely kid who once entertained himself in empty rooms had an audience.
People always complain about their phones. They're saying, like, I've only got 2 bars. Listen, I'm an alcoholic. All I've ever needed was 1 bar.
Robin studied theater at the prestigious Juilliard School in New York City, a place known for producing some of the finest actors in America, even among exceptionally talented students. Robin stood out, not because he was disciplined, not because he followed the rules, but because nobody could keep up with him. His mind seemed to move faster than everyone else's. One idea became 10. One character became 20. One joke became an entire performance.
I also want to thank you for having Prince, William Shatner, Puff Daddy, and Mick Jagger on the same stage. That is the sign of the apocalypse. Thank you.
Fellow students often watched in amazement. Some described him as brilliant. Others described him as exhausting. Most agreed on one thing. There had never been anyone quite like Robin Williams.
You know, comedy is very hard. Comedy is about women with wonderful hands.
But extraordinary talent often comes with extraordinary pressure. Because when people start calling you a genius, they stop allowing you to be ordinary.
First of all, Bob, I want to congratulate you on the new look, the Saddam Hussein mission thing you've got going on.
Robin soon found himself chasing opportunities in stand-up comedy. And the moment he stepped onto comedy club stages, something clicked.
Iran, Iraq, stalagmite, stalactite. That's...
Audiences couldn't get enough of him. His performances felt electric, unpredictable, completely out of control. One minute he was telling jokes. The next he was performing 10 different characters at once. Then launching into impressions nobody saw coming. Every performance felt like watching someone think out loud at lightning speed. It wasn't stand-up comedy. It was a force of nature.
No one's ever released a sex tape with you.
Oh, it'd be frightening. It'd be animal rights issues. It'd be like going, it's like Bigfoot jacking off. What is that?
Word spread quickly. Clubs filled. Industry executives noticed. Television came calling. Then in 1978, everything changed. Robin was cast as an alien named Mork on a television sitcom called Mork and Mindy. Nobody expected what happened next.
Yes, sir. Unless you can say no, there'll be no pieces left for yourself.
Almost overnight, Robin Williams became a star. Millions of people fell in love with a strange, energetic alien from another planet. Children adored him. Adults adored him. America couldn't get enough of him. Suddenly, Robin wasn't performing for small audiences anymore. He was performing for the entire country. And while success brought excitement, it also brought something darker. Expectations.
I've always been fascinated at the roles that actors don't get. The Batman, the Joker role.
The world had discovered a version of Robin Williams it absolutely loved. Fast, funny, endlessly entertaining. And now people wanted that version all the time. Interviews, talk shows, public appearances. Every room Robin entered seemed to demand performance. Every conversation seemed to require energy. Every interaction became an opportunity to be Robin Williams.
Listen, Robbo, I'm real sorry about it. Maybe I'll send you a couple of t-shirts, smart boy.
The funny one, the quick one, the entertainer, the human fireworks display, and somewhere beneath all of it, a dangerous question began taking shape. What happens when people stop seeing you and only see the performance?
It happened that way. It went away, I guess. You know, I was interested, but somebody else went, I'm better than you and I'm bigger. So here you go.
Because while Robin's career was soaring, he was also struggling. The pressure, the pace, the sudden fame, the endless expectations, they came with consequences.
If you realize that syphilis came from sheep 4,000 years ago, which makes you think 4,000 years ago there was some shepherd that went, no, the rest of you go to town, I'll be okay.
During this period, Robin developed serious problems with substance abuse, cocaine, alcohol, the darker side of a comedy scene that often confused excess with freedom.
Even Stephen Hawking's going, don't go there now. I called his house one day. Hello, this is Stephen Hawking. Yes, I'd like to leave a message. No, this is Stephen Hawking.
Publicly, he remained the same lovable whirlwind audiences adored. Privately, things were becoming more complicated. And for the first time, the laughter wasn't enough to silence what was happening underneath, because the world was falling in love with Robin Williams. But Robin himself was beginning to learn something painful. The higher you climb, the lonelier it can become. And soon, the man who made millions laugh would discover just how much of himself he was giving away.
And luckily, we are going to mix up the rub, and you're going to rub it into the meat.
By the mid-1980s, Robin Williams had become something rare. Not just a successful actor, not just a successful comedian, a phenomenon, the kind of performer audiences instantly trusted, the kind of performer who could make you laugh, cry, and believe in something better, all within the same scene.
See, that shuts him up.
Luckily that I had that experience from the ages 12 to 22. I'll be rubbing the meat, as we say.
Hollywood quickly realized they weren't dealing with an ordinary talent. They were dealing with someone capable of connecting with people on a deeply human level. And for Robin, that connection became everything.
We're standing backstage because they're just about to take you to the press conference, and he goes, you know, Robbo, now I have one for every decade. You bastard!
Movie after movie followed. Good Morning, Vietnam, Dead Poet Society, Awakenings, Hook, Mrs. Doubtfire, Jumanji, Aladdin. Each role revealed a different side of him. The comedian, the dreamer, the teacher, the father, the friend.
He's nuts! You'll never have a sex scandal with Jack because he has everyone.
Yet beneath every performance was the same extraordinary gift. Robin could make people feel seen. Somehow, audiences didn't just watch him. They connected with him. They trusted him. They believed him.
And he's done every known drug known to mankind. He'd be the only guy in the world that Keith Richards would go, I have to go home now, Jack.
And perhaps nowhere was that gift more powerful than in Dead Poet Society. Standing in front of a classroom as John Keating, Robin delivered a performance that felt less like acting and more like truth, encouraging young people to seize life, to think for themselves, to make their lives extraordinary. The message resonated around the world because it wasn't simply a character speaking. It felt like Robin himself, warm, encouraging, compassionate, human. Then came Mrs. Doubtfire, a film that would cement Robin Williams as one of the most beloved entertainers on the planet. Generations of children grew up watching him, laughing with him, loving him, seeing him not as a celebrity, but as part of their lives. To millions of people, Robin Williams felt familiar, safe, comforting, like someone who genuinely wanted the world to be a better place. And in many ways, he did.
I want to see Jack Nicholson as Bugs Bunny going, hello, doctor. What's up?
Friends often spoke about Robin's kindness, his generosity, his ability to sense when someone was struggling. He visited sick children, supported fellow comedians, performed for troops overseas, helped people quietly, without publicity, without cameras, without needing credit, because making people feel better wasn't simply part of his act. It was part of who he was. But there was a hidden cost to becoming everyone's source of comfort, because the more Robin gave, the more people expected him to keep giving. More energy, more joy, more laughter, more hope. Audiences saw a man who never seemed to run out of light. But even the brightest lights need fuel. And Robin spent decades pouring pieces of himself into performances that helped millions of people through difficult times. The remarkable thing is, he rarely complained, rarely made it about himself, rarely asked for sympathy. He simply kept showing up, kept performing, kept making people smile. Yet behind the scenes, The struggle never completely disappeared. The insecurities, the self-doubt, the fear, the loneliness that had followed him since childhood, they were still there, hidden beneath success, hidden beneath applause, hidden beneath the laughter. Because the truth about Robin Williams is that he became incredibly skilled at helping other people escape their pain. But escaping his own was much harder. And eventually, the darkness he'd spent a lifetime outrunning would begin catching up with him. Not in public, not on a movie screen, but in the quiet moments when the performance finally stopped. And for the man who had spent his life making the world laugh, those moments were becoming increasingly difficult to face. For much of his life, Robin Williams seemed unstoppable. No matter the room, no matter the audience, no matter the situation, he could always find the laughter, always find the light, always find a way to lift the people around him. It was a gift. But gifts can become expectations, and expectations can become burdens. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, Robin Williams had spent decades being on, decades performing, decades entertaining, decades carrying the emotional weight of being one of the world's most beloved entertainers. To audiences, he appeared endlessly energetic, endlessly optimistic, endlessly alive. Yet privately, the picture was far more complicated. Robin had battled addiction earlier in his life. Alcohol, cocaine, the chaotic excesses that often surrounded fame in the 1970s and 1980s. Following the death of his friend, comedian John Belushi in 1982, Robin made significant changes. He became sober, focused on his work, focused on his family, focused on building a healthier life. And for many years, it seemed like he had won that battle. But addiction wasn't the only struggle. There were other battles, quieter battles, more difficult to explain. Anxiety, self-doubt, fear, the strange loneliness that can exist even when millions of people love you. Friends often described Robin as deeply compassionate, incredibly sensitive, someone who felt things intensely. And sometimes, people who feel the deepest joy are also capable of feeling the deepest pain. That's what made Robin so remarkable as a performer. He understood human emotion, all of it, the joy, the heartbreak, the fear, the hope. He could access those emotions because he carried them himself. Yet there was another challenge, one that followed him throughout much of his career. The pressure of being Robin Williams, the expectation that every appearance would be hilarious, every interview would be entertaining, every interaction would be unforgettable. The world rarely wanted Robin Williams the man. It wanted Robin Williams a performance. The machine gun impressions, the rapid-fire jokes, the unstoppable energy, and over time, that can become exhausting. Because nobody can perform forever. Nobody can be on forever. Nobody can spend a lifetime carrying other people's expectations without feeling the weight. Then in 2006, after 2 decades of sobriety, Robin experienced a relapse with alcohol. It shocked many people, but Robin spoke openly about it. Not with shame, with honesty. He understood something many people don't. Recovery isn't a finish line. It's a lifelong journey. Some days are easier than others. Some battles never fully disappear. And despite his immense success, Robin was still human, still vulnerable, still searching. Yet perhaps the saddest part of all was how often the public misunderstood people like Robin Williams. We assume laughter means happiness. We assume success means peace. We assume fame protects people from suffering. But Robin's life quietly challenged all of those assumptions, because behind one of the brightest smiles in entertainment, there was a man fighting battles most people never saw. And soon, a new battle would arrive, one unlike anything Robin had faced before. A battle that couldn't be solved with talent, couldn't be solved with determination, couldn't be solved with laughter. A battle happening inside his own mind, and it would change everything. In 2014, Robin Williams was facing the most frightening challenge of his life. The tragedy is, he didn't fully understand what that challenge was. Neither did the people around him, because unlike the struggles he had faced before, this one had no clear name, no clear explanation, no obvious enemy, at least not yet. For most of his life, Robin's mind had been his greatest gift. It moved faster than anyone else's, creating characters, stories, voices, entire worlds. It was the engine behind everything he had become. But now, something was happening to that engine, something neither Robin nor his loved ones could understand. He began experiencing symptoms that seemed disconnected: anxiety, panic, confusion, sleep disturbances, memory issues, sudden changes in mood, difficulty concentrating, moments of fear that seemed to come from nowhere. For a man who had spent his life trusting his mind, it was terrifying. Robin later told friends he felt as though something was wrong, deeply wrong, but every answer seemed to lead to more questions. Doctors explored possibilities: depression, anxiety, Parkinson's disease, stress, yet none of the explanations fully accounted for what Robin was experiencing. Meanwhile, the symptoms continued to worsen. Tasks that once felt effortless became difficult. Concentration became harder. Confidence began disappearing. The performer who could once command a stage without thinking was becoming increasingly afraid of his own mind. And perhaps that's what made his illness so cool. It attacked the very thing that made Robin Williams who he was: his creativity, his confidence, his identity, his sense of self. Friends later described seeing someone they loved struggling to understand what was happening, not just physically, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. Robin wasn't simply losing comfort. He felt as though he was losing himself. And the hardest part was that nobody could tell him why. Then, on August 11, 2014, the world received news that seemed impossible to comprehend. Robin Williams had died at the age of 63. Shock spread across the globe. Fans couldn't believe it. Fellow actors couldn't believe it. Friends couldn't believe it. How could the man who brought so much joy to so many people be gone? Almost immediately, conversations focused on depression, addiction, mental health, questions people desperately wanted answered. Yet months later, another piece of the story would emerge. Following extensive medical examination, doctors discovered that Robin had been suffering from severe Lewy body disease, a devastating neurodegenerative disorder, one that affects thinking, memory, mood, movement, perception, and often creates symptoms that are difficult to diagnose while a person is alive. Specialists who reviewed his case later described it as one of the most severe examples they had ever seen. Suddenly, many of the mysteries surrounding Robin's final months began making sense. The confusion, the fear, the anxiety, the feeling that something was happening inside his brain that nobody could explain. This wasn't simply sadness. It wasn't simply stress. It was a devastating illness attacking the very center of who he was. And perhaps that understanding changes the way we view Robin Williams' final chapter. Because this wasn't the story of a man who stopped fighting. It was the story of a man fighting an invisible battle that few people around him fully understood. A battle against fear, against confusion, against the gradual loss of the mind he had relied on his entire life. The man who spent decades making people feel better was facing a nightmare he couldn't joke his way out of, a performance he couldn't improvise, a problem he couldn't solve. And in the end, one of the brightest lights in entertainment was extinguished by something nobody could see. Yet Robin Williams' story doesn't end with tragedy. Because the thing people remember most isn't how he died. It's how he lived. The laughter, the kindness, the joy, and the millions of lives he touched along the way. Which leaves us with one final question. Who was Robin Williams? Beyond the smile the world loved? For most of his life, Robin Williams gave the world a gift. Laughter. Not the polite kind. Not the kind that fades a few seconds later. Real laughter. The kind that makes your stomach hurt. The kind that helps people forget their worries. The kind that stays with you long after the joke is over. For decades, Robin became a source of comfort for millions of people. Through movies, through comedy, through interviews, through simple acts of kindness that often happened far away from cameras. To many people, Robin Williams felt less like a celebrity and more like a friend. Someone who understood what it meant to be human. Someone who understood pain. Someone who understood joy. Someone who somehow managed to make room for both. And perhaps that's why his death affected so many people so deeply. Because it felt personal. As though the world hadn't just lost an actor. It had lost someone who had helped it through difficult times. A companion. A teacher. A source of light. Yet as the years passed, something remarkable began to happen. The conversation around Robin Williams started to change. People began looking beyond the tragedy. Beyond the headlines. Beyond the circumstances of his death. And they started remembering the things that truly mattered. His generosity, his compassion, his empathy, the countless stories from strangers whose lives he touched, the children he visited in hospitals, the troops he entertained overseas, the fellow performers he encouraged when nobody was watching, the ordinary people who met him and never forgot his kindness. Again and again, the same picture emerged. Robin Williams wasn't simply a great entertainer. He was a deeply caring human being, someone who seemed genuinely concerned with easing the suffering of others. And maybe that's what made him so special. Because Robin understood something many people never do. Life is difficult. Everyone is carrying something. Everyone is fighting battles we cannot see. And sometimes, the greatest gift we can give another person is a moment of relief, a moment of connection, a moment of laughter. Looking back now, it's tempting to focus on the sadness, the illness, the loss, the unanswered questions, but doing so risks missing the larger story. Because Robin Williams' life was never defined by the way it ended. It was defined by the lives it touched, the children who found courage through his characters, the students inspired by Dead Poets Society, the families who still gather around Mrs. Doubtfire, the dreamers who watch Good Will Hunting and believe they could become something more, the millions of people who laughed when they needed it most. Robin spent a lifetime helping others feel less alone. And perhaps that's a legacy that matters most. Not the awards, not the box office success, not the fame. Connection, human connection, the ability to make another person feel seen, feel understood, feel loved, which brings us back to the question at the heart of this story. Who was Robin Williams when nobody was laughing? The answer, perhaps, is surprisingly simple. He was a man, a brilliant man, a complicated man, a vulnerable man, a man capable of incredible joy and incredible pain, just like the rest of us. And maybe that's why his story continues to resonate, because behind the celebrity, behind the characters, behind the endless stream of laughter, was someone searching for the very same things we all search for: love, understanding, peace, belonging. Robin Williams spent his life making the world smile, and in return, the world loved him for it. But perhaps the greatest way to honor Robin Williams isn't to remember how he died. It's to remember how he lived, generously, compassionately, fearlessly, and with a heart big enough to carry millions of people. The world will always remember the laughter. But the laughter was never the whole story. Behind the smile was a human being. And that may be the most important thing Robin Williams ever taught us. That even the people who bring us the most joy deserve to be seen, not as performers, not as legends, but as people. Robin Williams made the world laugh. And in doing so, he made it a little kinder, a little warmer, a little more human. And that legacy will live on long after the laughter fades. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe for more cinematic stories exploring the lives, struggles, triumphs, and legacies of the world's most fascinating icons.